March 8, 2014. A day seemingly like any other at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 was preparing for takeoff, carrying 239 people, passengers from China, Malaysia, Indonesia, and several other nationalities. The Boeing 777-200ER, one of the safest aircraft in the world, was scheduled to fly over 5 hours to Beijing, China. At 12:41 a.m., MH370 left the runway, soaring into the night. Everything seemed normal. At 1:19 a.m., Malaysian Air Traffic Control made final contact with the plane. Good night, Malaysian 370. After that, silence. The first abnormal sign appeared. The plane disappeared from civilian radar because its transponder, the device broadcasting identity, location, speed, was suddenly switched off. In aviation, this is highly unusual, almost never happening unless there's a major technical failure or deliberate action from the cockpit. Yet military radar still picked up a faint signal, a large object turning west, crossing over Malaysia, heading into the vast Indian Ocean. No one understood why. No distress signal, no messages from the crew, no calls from passengers. Only a metal ghost, quietly vanishing into the sky and sea. From here, the world launched the most expensive search in aviation history. But the more they searched, the deeper they fell into a maze of mystery, strange theories, endless debates, and data that refused to align. Military radar data and satellite signals later revealed, after its final words with air traffic control, MH370 turned 180 degrees, heading west, crossing over the Malaysian peninsula, then over the Andaman Sea, and finally south over the Indian Ocean. This was not a simple mistake or random failure. If it was a system problem, why didn't the plane stay on its straight course to Beijing? If the pilots faced an emergency, why turn precisely and fly thousands of extra kilometers? If the plane was attacked, who controlled it for the next 6 or 7 hours? Why did civilian radar lose the signal, but military radar still detected the plane? Civilian radar relies on the aircraft's transponder, meaning the plane actively says, "Here I am." When the transponder is off, civilian radar becomes blind. Military radar, however, uses reflected waves. As long as there's a large moving object, even without signals, military systems can see it. So why was the transponder turned off? It's nearly impossible for both the transponder and ACARS, the system that sends maintenance data, to fail at the same time, unless someone deliberately shut them off from the cockpit. This rules out a total electrical failure because if power was lost, the plane couldn't have kept flying for hours. This is the key point that makes the human action theory rise strongly. Someone inside the cockpit did something, making the plane vanish from the world's eyes. Why were there no emergency signals? Why did no one on board, crew or passengers, try to call, text, or reach out? Why did the plane continue flying thousands of kilometers, entering unmonitored ocean without landing anywhere? The deeper the analysis goes, the clearer it becomes. This was not a simple accident. It was a chain of actions, deliberate, calculated, and chillingly cold. From the moment MH370 disappeared, the hijacking theory became the media's main focus. Why? Because the plane suddenly changed course. Its communication systems were manually turned off. There was no distress signal, Everything pointed to someone deliberately taking control from inside the cockpit. In aviation, there are usually a few hijacking scenarios. An intruder seizes the cockpit, forcing pilots to obey. Hijackers control the crew, making ransom or political demands. Or they attempt a suicide attack, like the September 11th attacks. But with MH370, what fits? Option 1, maybe, but the Boeing 777's cockpit has a strong anti-intrusion lock. Option 2, no demands, no threats, nothing sent during 7 hours of flight. Option 3, yet the plane didn't dive into a city. It flew quietly out over an empty ocean. The hijacking theory faces big questions. Who could fly a Boeing 777 for hours, crossing military zones without detection? Why choose to disappear over the sea instead of attacking, landing, or making demands? If hijackers wanted to redirect the plane, why let it run out of fuel, crashing in one of the most remote places on Earth? The strangest part is this: every known hijacking leaves traces, demands, messages, or signs of conflict. Here, there was nothing, just a quiet, silent journey into death. Though hijacking was once a leading theory, over time, the hard data weakened it. Maybe someone took control. But who, why? And why choose such a silent disappearance? That remains an unanswered question. Zahari Ahmad Shah, 53 years old, was a veteran captain at Malaysia Airlines. With over 18,000 flight hours, he was known as a technical expert, passionate about aviation, trusted by his colleagues. Inside the cockpit, he commanded one of the safest aircraft in the world. At home, Zahari built a sophisticated flight simulator setup, practicing all kinds of scenarios, from standard flights to complex emergencies. This simulator would later become the center of the investigation. When authorities examined his computer, they found a simulated flight path remarkably similar to MH370's final trajectory, over the Indian Ocean, ending when fuel ran out. This discovery raised the chilling question: was Zahari rehearsing for a suicide mission? Supporters of the suicide theory point to Zahari's possible mental state. He might have fallen into depression, personal conflicts, or career pressures no one knew about. With his skills, Zahari could deliberately turn off communications, change course, and fly the plane for hours to the most remote, unsearchable place. Yet others strongly refute this. Family and colleagues insist Zahari loved his job, his family, and showed no signs of despair. He even posted flight tutorials and engaged with the online community, showing openness and passion. The simulator route, they argue, could have been a technical exercise, not a rehearsal for tragedy. Technically, if a pilot wanted to do this, it would involve switching off the transponder and ACARS, disabling radio contact, changing course to avoid military radar, and calculating fuel to reach a vast, deep ocean area. All of this aligned with Zahari's known capabilities, but there is no conclusive evidence proving this was his intention, rather than an entirely different event. Pilot suicide is one of the most widely considered theories among aviation experts. It fits the technical profile, but lacks psychological proof and clear motive. In aviation history, there have been cases of pilots deliberately crashing planes, like Germanwings 9525 in 2015. But in those cases, warning signs were clear. With MH370, the signs were faint. if they existed at all. Some experts have proposed that MH370 suffered an unexpected technical incident, such as an electrical fire that damaged all communication systems, cabin depressurization, rendering the pilots and passengers unconscious due to lack of oxygen, severe mechanical failure, leaving the aircraft on autopilot until it ran out of fuel. This idea seems plausible. Perhaps no one intended to disappear. It was purely a technical tragedy. In fact, there have been previous cases of depressurization causing ghost flights lasting for hours, such as Helios Airways Flight 522 in 2005. This idea seems plausible. Perhaps no one intended to disappear. It was purely a technical tragedy. In fact, there have been previous cases of depressurization causing ghost flights lasting for hours, such as Helios Airways Flight 522 in 2005. The Boeing 777 is built with multiple redundancy systems. Even with an electrical fire, not everything would fail at once. Backup oxygen systems should allow pilots enough time to send distress signals. If the plane was only on autopilot, it would continue flying straight. It wouldn't make a precise 180-degree turn as recorded in the data. Satellite data showed MH370 took complex paths, changing altitude and direction not typical of an abandoned, drifting aircraft. Why did ACARS and the transponder switch off at the same time? This can only be done manually from the cockpit. Why did the plane change course deliberately after losing contact? Autopilot cannot perform such complex maneuvers without commands. If depressurization rendered everyone unconscious, why didn't the pilots have time to put on oxygen masks? This is hard to reconcile, as the Boeing 777 has clear warnings when depressurization occurs. Technical failure is the most innocent and easily accepted theory on the surface, but deeper analysis reveals major gaps. It seems there was still a human hand involved, someone who knew exactly what they were doing. From the very beginning of MH370's disappearance, rumors spread that the plane accidentally flew into sensitive airspace, was mistaken for a threat, and was shot down by military forces. This theory draws on history. Korean Air 007, shot down by the Soviet Union in 1983. Iran Air 655, shot down by the US Navy in 1988. Could MH370 have suffered the same fate? After losing contact, MH370 turned and flew into sensitive airspace, perhaps over Malaysia, Thailand, India, or military zones in the Indian Ocean. A military force detected an unidentified, silent object. On high alert, they decided to shoot it down. Later, fearing diplomatic fallout, it was covered up. This explains why the plane vanished completely, why initial searches went the wrong direction, if data was hidden, and it has historical precedent. But no nation ever claimed responsibility. No large debris, no missile damage, no radar showing an explosion mid-air. Inmarsat data showed MH370 kept pinging for hours, meaning it wasn't destroyed immediately, but flew until fuel ran out. In today's world, hiding such an incident for over a decade is nearly impossible. If true, then who? Malaysia? Unlikely. They wouldn't shoot down their own plane. India? Unlikely. MH370 didn't approach sensitive bases, the US too far geographically. China? But MH370 was flying away from China, and if someone had shot it down, it's highly likely information would have leaked by now. The shot-down theory is compelling as a political conspiracy, but under scrutiny, it doesn't match the facts. Long flight path, satellite pings, no physical evidence, no clear motive. It's a theory popular in media, but lacks solid ground in official investigation. From the early days after MH370 disappeared, there were rumors the plane accidentally entered sensitive airspace, was mistaken as a threat, and was shot down by the military. Historical precedents include Korean Air 007, 1983, shot down by the Soviet Union, and Iran Air 655, 1988, shot down by the US Navy. After losing communication, MH370 turned into sensitive zones, Malaysia, Thailand, India, or military zones over the Indian Ocean. A military force detected an unidentified object, unresponsive, non-communicating. In high alert, they decided to shoot it down. Later, fearing diplomatic fallout, it was covered up. This explains why the plane disappeared completely, why search efforts initially went the wrong way, if data was hidden, and why there's historical precedent. No nation has claimed responsibility. No large debris or missile evidence has been found. Inmarsat satellite data showed MH370 kept sending pings for hours. It wasn't destroyed instantly, but flew until fuel ran out. In today's world, hiding such a large military incident for over a decade is nearly impossible. Who would do it? Malaysia? Unlikely. India? Unlikely. The US geographically far. China? The plane was flying away from China. Even if someone did shoot it down, information likely would have leaked by now. The shot-down theory is seductive as political conspiracy, but it lacks solid evidence, and official investigations haven't backed it. More than a decade has passed since MH370 vanished. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been poured into search efforts. Thousands of hours spent analyzing satellite data. Millions around the world have followed every update, every clue. And what do we have? A few fragments washed up on the shores of Madagascar and Réunion, confirmed to be parts of MH370. A map of satellite ping arcs showing the plane flew until its fuel ran out over the southern Indian Ocean. Theories that remain unproven, and the lingering grief of the families of the 239 missing souls. MH370 is not just an aviation tragedy. It exposes the blind spots of seemingly advanced technology. Despite radar, satellites, and hundreds of sensors, we can still lose track of a massive aircraft in real time. It raises questions about flight safety, communication protocols, and international responsibility in accident investigations. And it reminds us that even in the modern world, there are things beyond control, beyond prediction. Perhaps one day, deep-sea search technology will recover MH370's black boxes, offering final answers. Perhaps one day, someone will come forward, revealing hidden truths. Or perhaps MH370 will forever remain a question mark, hanging in the night sky. One of the greatest mysteries in human history. The families of those 239 souls deserve answers. We, the outsiders, deserve to understand what happened. Not just to close a painful chapter, but to believe that, even delayed, even difficult, the truth can still find its way home.